Hi, you guys. I'm just sitting outside Target getting ready to go in and pick up my contacts before the optometrist closes. And I have a message. It's more of a sentiment, and I hope it blesses you. But I wanted to get parked and not be out and about driving when I delivered it because it's just safer and it'll probably flow out of me a lot easier too. So I hope it blesses you. Again, as a preface, in case I have new followers, if you don't know my story, I am an upcoming author and I'm a widow. And many of the things that have obviously occurred in my life that one day you'll read about as God continues to hold the pen and write the 3 books I believe he has for my future. But the first one that comes out is about my husband, Matthew, and what I believe in hindsight, I can see that came out of his death and his legacy for the glory of God. So you'll read about that. But the message the Holy Spirit gave me was this. This is not to boast in myself by any means. I'm just using this because the Holy Spirit illuminated it to me in order for me to deliver this message to you. And the Bible refers to us being believers, God's people, as the bride, right? And so he's using marriage as a focal point, as a metaphor almost for how he sees us, because what is marriage? Marriage is a commitment, right? And don't get me wrong, I mean, sometimes it just doesn't work. I mean, even the Bible has things built into it to where there are, what's the best word I can explain? There are provisions for why and when it doesn't work out. So again, these are no judgments or anything like that. Trust me. But for me, this is just a metaphor for my husband, Matthew, and I, and our experience in marriage and what the Bible explains about, why God uses that as the metaphor to call us the bride, right? Because he's committed to us and he loves us the way he expects us to love our husband or our wife, and it isn't just our husband or wife. I mean, this is how God calls us to love people in general. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard. But in general, when a marriage does have the ability to have that foundation to withstand, and so in my opinion, that's Christ, the rock, right? And when it doesn't, it doesn't. And then you get back up and you go to God and you say, well, Lord, what do I do now? How do I grow from this? How do I make potentially the next time around, should it be something you want to bless me with? How do I make sure this is built on stronger foundation, stronger rock? Okay. And so he gave me, obviously my husband, Matthew, and I's marriage, it definitely wasn't perfect, but we were very blessed to be brought through many things that led us both to Christ. And, it gave us 16 wonderful years, even though 6 of them were pretty traumatic. And you'll read about that. But it was those first 10 years, and some of it was dating. But in the from the dating to the marriage and into the sickness he had, it prepared us for the sickness, both of us. Even though he couldn't speak, he was still prepared. Matt couldn't do much in those 6 years, but he was what was holding me together after the Lord. So it's pretty amazing what a person can do even when they're stuck in a bed and they can't talk. That was how strong Matt and I's marriage was, our love. And it's only because of what we went through that we turned to Christ to handle when, so to speak, for lack of better words, when it hit the fan, when things in our marriage fell off the rock, right? Matt and I just always said, if ever we think we want to walk away, let's just go to God first. Let's go to God first. And again, this is my walk with Matt. And this may not be everybody's story. And again, these are not judgments. This is just me talking about how Christ expects us to love him as his bride. Okay, so I'm using this because this is how the message was given to me. So throughout the sickness of my husband, Matthew, many people said to me this quote that always stuck with me. And I think I used it in the book. I'm not sure. I think I've said it on here too. There's a saying that says a man's loyalty is tested, a woman's loyalty is tested when he has nothing, and a man's loyalty is tested when he has everything. And so I thought that was such a good metaphor for not only marriage and how we, if we're able to, and both people are willing, because both people have to be willing, of course. But for me, people would say that to me when they would see me stand by my husband, Matthew. And again, this is not to boast in myself. It's the strength God gave me innately. And, Matt had nothing to contribute to me. He could do nothing. He was in a diaper. He could not speak. He could not eat from anything but a tube. And it was beyond stressful, beyond traumatic. But my loyalty was tested, and I didn't know it was going to come out like gold before it happened. I always loved him that way, but you don't know till you're in it. You just don't. So you gotta you got to kind of, that's why hindsight is where you learn all the lessons, right? And you do your best in the midst, right? But then Matt's loyalty, definitely, he passed the test too, because Matt became very successful before he got sick. And I loved him when he had nothing, even before he got sick. He was, you'll read about it. I don't want to give away too much, but ultimately Matt was, my age. We were both kids and didn't have a whole lot of money, but slowly we supported each other, and Matt grew into being a very successful person in real estate. And I loved him the same as I did when he had nothing in his pocket, just as I loved him the same when he couldn't even put his hand in his pocket in his hospital bed and couldn't even talk. It's just, again, this isn't to boast in myself as a wife, because it's just what Christ does in us when we go to him for the structure of the relationships in our life. So that saying, again, let me repeat it, because I'm going to show you how he had me apply it to our relationship with God. The saying is, a woman's loyalty is tested. So this would be his daughters, ladies, daughters of God. A woman's loyalty is tested when he has nothing, okay? And a man's loyalty is tested when he has everything. And so it kind of goes to what the Bible talks about, like the different things we struggle with pride, with women, and their role in a marriage. And so how does this apply to our relationship with God? Well, women, the saying is, we're tested, our love. Let's put our father into the role now. This is now taking it out of the context of actual marriage, because Christ calls us the bride. So daughters of God, this is for you. We're tested. We're all tested of all of this, but I'm just going to put this into perspective. The saying is, we're tested when he has nothing. So when God simply just wants us to love him, and he's not giving us everything, he's not showing us the promise, maybe he's not providing, maybe we're at the end of our ropes and we're like, where are you, God? He's still asking us to love him like a wife loves a husband. He's asking us, daughters, to love the Lord when he has given us nothing yet, even though he's given us everything on the cross. Sometimes it feels that way, right? In the waiting rooms of God, it feels like God's not giving us anything, but he gave us his son. So we as daughters are called to love the Lord despite, right? And then gentlemen, one of the biggest things, or sons of God, here you go, this is for you. The Bible talks about pride, and pride is a very dangerous sin. It's actually the root of all evil. It says in the Bible, it says pride comes before the fall. The Bible, the saying is, a man's loyalty is tested, and let's use this in context of our love for God, when he has everything. And so just like Nebuchadnezzar, I hear you. Wow. He's amazing, guys. Nebuchadnezzar, when he was on that mountain, he says, I've seen all of this. I built all of this. And then God said, okay, I warned you for a year, and now I'm about to take it all away, because you got in your pride and you forgot about me when I brought you to the top of your success, the top of your mountain. And that's why Matt did so well when he had nothing. And Matt, when he became my late husband, was still the same lover of God he was when he was successful. And that was very attractive to me from my husband, Matthew. I didn't see him change. And it made me feel safe in my marriage to my husband, Matthew, too, because I saw that no matter how big Matt got, or how much attention Matt got from anything, women, or, I'm just being honest, like, it was so impressive to me that Matt had grown with his relationship with God, that when he had nothing, he loved God the same as when he was successful. He loved God the same, and he did that same thing for me. He loved me the same. And so I want to use that for the metaphor. So sons of God, when you reach your peak and you're at the height of your whatever God has brought in your life, hopefully it's centered in God. Hopefully it's kingdom work. Don't forget about God, like Nebuchadnezzar, because Nebuchadnezzar will tell you he got humbled real quick. And he ended up praising the Lord and saying, you know what, far be it from me to ever again and be in my pride and say, I built all this. And daughters of God, we are called as his bride, the Lord's bride, to love the Lord even when we don't see everything, even when we don't have that man that's looking at us in the eyes and saying, you're this and you're everything and you're wonderful. That is what our Father's job is. Our Father's job is to love us that way right now. And then that allows us to become the person that can be received by the man or the woman, for the sons of God, that is ready to receive. Remember, the Lord wants to present us to someone. So we have to become that person so they can receive us. And the Lord's working on both people in that scenario. But I wanted to use the metaphor for women and men in marriage, because God uses that as a metaphor for the church, that we are the bride of Christ. And it says a woman's loyalty is tested when he has nothing, and a man's loyalty is tested when he has everything, meaning Sons of God still worship the Lord the same when he elevates you into your calling, and daughters of God still love your father the same even when he hasn't given you all the things he's promised you, because remember, he is asking us to love like a bride and a groom. We are the bride of Christ. We are to love just like the commitment of marriage teaches us. I hope this blessed you guys.